So now we know what buffers are, what they are used for, and how they can be misused and abused. What can we do to prevent from being a victim of poor programming, bad or too much input, and malicious, unethical hacking? What we need are buffer overflow safeguards and countermeasures to add to our overall risk mitigation strategy. Mitigation is a term meaning to minimize the harmful impact of a threat, either before or after the threat occurs. In the case of buffer overflows, proactive mitigation is taking the steps necessary to prevent buffer overflow conditions from occurring, and reactive mitigation reduces the harmful effects of buffer overflow conditions that have occurred. Safeguards are proactive security controls that attempt to prevent a threat from occurring. For example, if you don't want people walking into your house and possibly stealing your stuff, you can put locks on all your doors and windows as a safeguard to prevent unauthorized people from entering your premises. The locks will not necessarily prevent every intrusion attempt, but they are part of a proactive mitigation strategy that reduces the chance of an intrusion threat from occurring. Countermeasures are controls that come into play after a threat has occurred. If somebody picks the lock on your door and enters your premises, an alarm system can react to this threat by silently informing the local police or by turning on lights and sirens in your home to scare the intruder away. The alarm system will not have prevented the intrusion, but its use as a countermeasure will have mitigated the amount of damage that could have resulted from an active intrusion threat. Our safeguards and countermeasures against buffer overflows are technical and administrative, not physical, and are performed by programmers, system administrators, and information security professionals. Let's have a look. What can we do to prevent buffer overflow conditions from occurring? The best way to do this is by not creating program code with buffer overflow vulnerabilities in the first place. So how do programmers do this? By writing safer code. Because buffer overflows are errors in the management of memory within a running program, a set of rules can be used to guide how program code should be designed and written to avoid memory management errors. But what about code already written and without considering safe memory management practices? Programmers, fix your code. Any program software can be analyzed to determine where buffer overflow conditions may occur, and other memory management problems as well. And once found, these problems are bugs to be fixed. And programmers, have your code tested. Now your first thought might be to make programmers test their own code, but they do that. And you should never allow a program to be released that has only been tested and verified by the software developers that designed and built the program. Professional quality assurance people can usually do a much more thorough job of finding problems in a software program than the program's creators will. System administrators can prevent buffer overflows by finding all programs on their systems that are known to have buffer overflows and either patching them to fix their known security problems or by uninstalling the vulnerable programs from the systems completely. Uninstalling all unneeded programs and software libraries is always an excellent safeguard regardless of the threat. Never opt to simply disable a vulnerable program unless it is also patched. Users have the responsibility for system and information safety too. Users must be educated as to the types of threats that their systems and information may be exposed to. For proactive software safety, never use unknown or untested software programs. Bad and even malicious programming is common and can turn up in the most trivial of programs. Also, do not trust unknown or unverified software distribution platforms. Malware is rarely found on sites of trusted software publishers and always on those sites that are unmoderated or specifically created to distribute malware. Always verify what programs you are installing and where they came from. So a buffer overflow has occurred, maybe a lot of them. What can we do about it? Even though we implement security safeguards, buffer overflows will still happen. To mitigate this situation, we need to first detect and then react to buffer overflow conditions when they eventually occur. For programmers, always write code to verify data in memory. If a buffer overflow occurs, the contents of a buffer will likely be changed. Detecting unexpected changes as soon as possible is an effective overflow mitigation technique. Also use buffer overflow detection features available in programming tools. When a buffer overflow condition happens, it can be detected using several different features available to programmers, and possibly even stopped before it causes instability in the program. When any type of memory management error occurs, log the information to a standard event messaging service where the programmers and system administrators can find it. The operating system may also log memory error events, but programs should as well. For system administrators, always use systems with modern hardware and operating systems. Many CPUs have the ability to mark areas of memory as non-executable, which prevents the most dangerous types of buffer overflow exploits involving arbitrary code execution. Popular operating systems, including Windows, Linux, Unix, and OS X, have features allowing the detection and mitigation of buffer overflow conditions, which should be enabled and tested to determine if there are any incompatibility problems with the programs your systems are running. There are also security programs that can detect and mitigate buffer overflow conditions specific to each running process. Finally, monitor your systems for the occurrence of overflows. System and security logs are a major indicator, thanks to the programmers. For users, do not install unknown programs, as they present a risk of being poorly written and even malicious in their operation. Do not visit unsafe websites may also install poor or malicious software too. Keep all of your program patches up to date. Remember that running system updates will not apply the latest patches to all programs installed on your system. And finally, users, always back up your data. This may seem like a strange countermeasure for lessening the harmful effects of buffer overflow conditions, but think about it. What is the most valuable thing on your computer? Your data! Anything that threatens to change or destroy your data is most effectively countered by frequent backups and testing the ability to restore your data. This is actually a great recommendation for system admins too.